Wonder Woman is one of DC's and Warner Brothers' fourth movie in their expanded cinematic universe, and I must say that this movie may be a good start for the studio to turn things around and give their fans a movie deemed worthy to live up to its comic book counterpart. What makes Wonder Woman stands out from the past DC cinematic movies is its story. This movie relied on its own storytelling and didn't focus heavily on connecting or shoehorning in other plots to weave together their upcoming movies leading up to the Justice League. And because of that, we get to understand this movie's characters, motivations, and how they overcome some of their inner conflicts by the time the movie credits rolled onto the screen. Its story centered around an Amazonian goddess would definitely need much explanation, since it seems that Marvel had found a way to explain how Thor and Norse gods could exist in a way that doesn't sound too far-fetched in a supposedly realistic world that they have established in the cinematic universe. And without spoiling the plot, Diana's mother, Hippolyta, explains to her the fate of the other gods and why they no longer exist. After being isolated for thousands of years on an island inhabited by women, known as the Amazons, it seemed as though the world of man needs to be freed from their self-destruction once again. This is where a young soldier named Steve Trevor comes into the plot. While Diana tries to figure out the meaning of her new discovered power, a plane mistakenly crashed onto the island of Themyscira. Not knowing the danger that lies ahead, Diana quickly saves Steve Trevor from a sunken plane and discovers for the first time what a man actually looks like. The conflict immediately thickens as the German soldiers accidentally stumble upon the island while trying to track down the injured Steve Trevor. For the first time in thousands of years, the Amazons had to ready the front lines and do battle, but this time against an enemy whose weaponry is a bit more advanced. This conflict becomes the driving force behind Diana's decision to leave Themyscira with Steve Trevor to free the world of man from hatred and self-destruction. Like most movies, if you're going to invest your time into its plot, the movie has to deliver compelling characters. Wonder Woman, who is played by Gal Gadot, had pulled off a convincing performance of the Amazonian goddess. When she first was casted for the role of Wonder Woman, I have to be honest, I was a bit nervous because she haven't really played in anything memorable before this movie. She needed to really embody this character in order to convince me that she is Wonder Woman. And guess what? She nailed it. Since Diana has lived on the island for so long without any interaction with the outside world, it showed in her performance as she portrayed how naive she was towards the world around her. We have Steve Trevor, who was played by Chris Pine. Now I must say that him and Gal Gadot had amazing chemistry on screen that was both emotional and laughable in a good way. He delivered the human aspect of the story, since Wonder Woman is, beyond human. Her view of the world is much different that of Steve Trevor, and he had to explain the realities of the world to Diana, which often bore an interesting conflict between the two because of their opposing beliefs. And then Antiope, the sister of Hippolyta, who was played by Robin Wright, who was a complete Amazonian badass amongst the Amazonian warriors. I can say that Wonder Woman had gorgeous visuals, especially with their cinematic interpretation of Themyscira and its action sequences throughout the entire movie. And speaking of action sequences, the choreography was definitely on par with some of the best solo Marvel hero movies to date. This time, Zack Snyder's infamous slow motion shots were actually a compliment to the action on screen this time, and I commend Patty Jenkins for providing directions for the actors throughout the film. This movie also has a brighter color palette compared to the Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and it really set the tone of the film. The soundtrack didn't leave anything left to remember, but it served its purpose for each scene. I do love the Wonder Woman theme though. When you hear it, you know Wonder Woman's about to kick some serious ass. The only disappointments I had with this movie was the characters General Luden, played by Danny Hudson, and Dr. Poison, played by Elena Ayane. Both of them didn't have strong enough motivations in the film as villains, not much character development or screen time to fully develop their character, and as for the main villain, which I won't spoil, though he was awesome on the visual aspect, his motivations weren't as clear-cut or developed as well. But overall, Wonder Woman is a great comic book movie and also an important moment in comic book movie history for female leading roles in movies. This movie should have been the first in the DC Cinematic Universe to kick things off, leading towards the Justice League. The story was very self-contained, and no prior knowledge of previous DC movies were necessary to enjoy this film. I encourage you to go check this movie out. This is definitely a summer movie to see with your friends and comic book pals. It looks like DC had delivered something that Marvel has yet to show in terms of a powerful female hero on the big screen. Now we have to wait and see what they can do with Ms. Marvel. This is MugenLord, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more on Wonder Woman and other comic book related movies to come. This is MugenLord signing off. And I give this movie an 8 out of 10.